Kill Tony's a place where stars are made and dreams can come true, but it's also a show that can turn into a comedian's worst nightmare. And while almost everyone's given some sort of chance at redemption, there's 5 comics who messed up so bad that they've been banned from the show forever. And as we count them down, each reason for why is only gonna get crazier. Now, our first banned comedian is the only person who's had his appearance completely removed from the original episode. Neil Pop had never done Kill Tony before, but when his friends convinced him to go to a show, he figured it was just another opportunity to get on stage and work out some of his jokes. But when he saw how Tony and Dane Cook were grilling these bucket pulls, he apparently took some offense to it.
So then this kid goes up and does his jokes, and afterward they told him he wasn't funny. They told him to quit comedy. They told him he looked like Cartman with lupus. So I thought, fuck my bit, fuck my corny jokes. I'm gonna go up there and just like at least shit on him or something, bro. Goddamn.
Now, while bucket pulls have tried to come on stage and roast the panel in the past, no one's really just went up there with the intention of attacking them. But ignorance is bliss, and Neil was young and dumb enough to think that he could actually pull it off.
And I thought you 3 prick jobs were supposed to be funny. Hey, no one's scared of you guys. Tony, red band. Do you guys have a Joe Rogan ass wiping schedule? Hey.
But now that Neil's blitz barrage was finished and it didn't exactly go how he planned, he was gonna have to face what was coming next. For most comics who have tried similar shit like this is where they admit that they messed up. But in Neil's mind, he was the hero of this story. He was here to talk some sense into the panel, clearly having no idea what show he just signed up for.
But I wanted to make sure that you felt the silence from the joke that you actually tried
Tony,
to do.
Bears like me love fucking little twinks like you. Hey, am I done? I feel like I'm in the principal's office with you fags. Nothing's funny with you guys. Come on!
After another minute, Neil would basically end his interview and walk off the stage after just 4 minutes. But as he was heading back to his friends, Tony had him kicked out of the entire Comedy Store. For Neil, who still considers himself a young, upcoming comic, this definitely isn't something that he loves to look back on. I mean, having a bad set on Kill Tony is one thing, but being banned from the show completely, that's losing a pretty big opportunity to be seen by millions of people. But while Neil got banned from the show because he wanted to roast the panel, our second comedian got banned because he wanted to fight the panel. Now, okay, this was a completely different time in the show's history. It was 2017, and the show was in Austin for the Moontown Comedy Festival. At the time, the bucket was a different animal. Homeless schizos, drunk idiots, hopeless comics were way more normal than they are today. So when Kyle Long got pulled from the bucket, it seemed like just another case of the bucket bucketing.
I'm not drunk.
While Kyle's set started off as just another case of a terrible bucket pull, the mushrooms he took started kicking in. Now, for most normal people, mushrooms don't really make you aggressive. If anything, they make you scared. But whatever shit Kyle took had the complete opposite effect. And when they started to kick in, they came on strong.
Do you remember that
Tony, can I just say Blanca from Street Fighter looks pretty rough?
All right, you. Okay, shut the up.
As he started to get roasted, his trip must have morphed into the Roman Colosseum, where every comedian on the panel was a gladiator and each joke was a sword thrusted at his neck. Because for being on a comedy show, he was taking real offense to everything being said about him. And while he sputtered through his minute, somehow picking up laughs along the way, Jeremiah was about to say something to him that would send him completely over the edge.
He's a full-time garbage pail kid.
Kyle, over here! Kyle! Whoever's working here. Whoever, you can't let him. Don't. Whoa! There you go. Yeah, he's gone.
It was the first and only physical fight that's ever happened on Kill Tony, and for pretty obvious reasons, Kyle was banned from the show forever. But while Neil and Kyle both went out with a bang, this next comedian was actually something like a regular for a short period of time. But his ban would come in a completely different way. Now, Ryan Joseph was pulled from the bucket in late 2019, and he came up and crushed his minute in his interview.
In 3rd grade, my teacher caught me cheating, but I swear I was always faithful to her.
Then, just a month later, he was pulled from the bucket again, and this time he did even better. He actually did so good that him and Theo were becoming boys by the end of the interview.
Yeah.
I really do, dude.
So it's
That's
difficult.
crazy, man. I can't believe that we've never even talked before.
I know.
I can't.
But by the time Ryan was pulled from the bucket again, it had been more than 8 months, and COVID was in full effect. At this time, Kill Tony was a completely different show. There wasn't even allowed to be an audience. But this would actually be the best thing to ever happen to Ryan, because his style was almost conversational. So when he got to the interview portion, it was just like they were talking, and they weren't even performing or trying to be funny. And when he brought up a situation with his girlfriend at the time, everyone was completely invested.
If you're in a relationship, you can like speak out something that makes you uncomfortable, right? And if he's just a dude that you hardly knew, that you're hooking up with, what's the big deal?
Right.
Right?
The fact that she brought it up first also kind of makes me think like, oh, she's feeling guilty of talking to that guy.
After his interview, Tony gave him the chance to come on the next time he had an update. And for the next 3 weeks, Ryan would come up on stage and share the drama that was going on. Each time was more interesting than the last. And Tony and Red Band were completely invested in this dude's toxic quarantine relationship. It was a fun segment to look forward to each week at a time when there was really not much else going on. But as weeks turned into months, Ryan had a tough time rehashing this old relationship, and now there wasn't as many fun new updates. It seemed like he was over his ex. At this point, Kill Tony was still shut down for COVID though, and his style was still perfect for the moment. So even though the updates on his relationship slowed down, the interviews were still fun, and for the better part of 3 months, he was basically a COVID regular. But then, Tony made the decision to move the show to Austin, and all of a sudden, live audiences were back. Keep in mind, this was a time when tensions were still high about the disease. And when Ryan made his first and only appearance in Austin, he'd do something that would piss off the entire panel, which ultimately led to the strangest ban of all time.
What do you love about Austin? You've been here for what, a couple days?
I've been here for like 4 days, just been doing shows. There's freedom, although you guys are still wearing masks, dude. There's still pussies out here.
Whoa, such a weird backhanded compliment there.
It's wild looking back on this because today that wouldn't even be a problem, but at this time it caused a lot of tension. And while I guess he could have backed away from this opinion, he leaned into it and it really pissed off Red Band.
Everyone's like mad at me now.
Yeah, because you're being a fucking dumbass.
Red Band's really mad at you.
Seriously.
He's high risk for coronavirus, so he's really offended right now.
No, I mean, like, I think we've all had people that have died from corona in our families.
Now, the rest of the interview just kept getting worse. Ryan wasn't about to change his mind, and Tony and Red Band were just becoming more frustrated. It's one of the strangest examples of a dude who they loved just a few months before being backed into a wall and given no way out. And even when he tried to give an update about his relationship, they didn't want to hear it. But Ryan, knowing where all this was heading, did something that nobody else has done before.
This is my last appearance on Kill Tony, everyone.
Wow, oh, look at you retiring before we tell you to not come back.
I already know it is.
This is the guy that quits while being fired. You know what? You can't fire me because I quit.
I already know it is, so whatever.
His last time on Kill Tony, retired tonight. I wasn't even going to tell him not to come back, but he did it.
It's been nearly 5 years since Ryan's last appearance, and he'll probably always be the only comedian to self-ban himself from the show. But while Ryan decided to never come back, this next comic, who used to be a superstar, wishes that he could have had an exit as graceful as that.
Put your hands together for Malcolm.
What's up? I was finna leave. Shit, God real.
Off rip, Malcolm was a star in the making. His stage presence was elite, his jokes were solid, and his energy was infectious. And it didn't take long before he was already becoming a fan favorite. But while he made a great first impression, the next hurdle he'd have to jump is becoming a regular. Now, this was a time in the show where becoming a regular was a massive opportunity. I mean, obviously it still is, but it was just different. Back in the day, becoming a regular meant performing every week for sometimes years. And it was truly treated as an opportunity to learn and grow as a comic. And on just his third appearance, Malcolm would pull it off.
I don't really want to wait till the 5-year anniversary show to see you do a new minute on this show every single week. And if you'd be down, I say we just make it official right now that you're a new regular on the show.
Throughout the next few months, Malcolm was killing it as a regular. He was going up on Kill Tony every Monday, being flown around the country doing paid gigs, but even though his career was changing in ways that he could have never imagined, Malcolm still felt the need to hang on to some shit from his past. See, what made his comedy so great was that he talked about real shit, whether it was his own life or something crazy that happened to him that week. But even with all these new life-changing opportunities coming his way, like getting signed by one of the biggest talent agencies in Hollywood, he wasn't able to fully accept all the good things that were happening around him. And instead of getting a small one-bedroom apartment, he was still living in his car. And instead of getting new clothes, he wore his old ones. On the surface, none of this really seems like it matters, but there was a deeper problem brewing, because after 9 months of being a consistent regular, Malcolm vanished and he lost his regularship. And when he came back for the first time in over 4 months, something seemed off.
So Malcolm, how's life been? It's been a long time since we've seen you.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Oh, that's good. We chilling and shit.
It's so good to see you talking finally.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had your jaw wired for a while.
In those 4 months off, Malcolm ran into some serious problems. He had moved back home for a short amount of time to be with his family, and when he came back to LA, he needed some money to keep him afloat. So in his free time, he was buying and reselling shit, but when he pulled up to the wrong part of town, things went real wrong.
So then they pulled up in the car, and 4 of them hopped out. One of them had a revolver, one of them had a bat, one of them had a 40 ounce, and they was like, "Where you from?" And then they like got me on the ground, broke my jaw in 2 places.
God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
After Malcolm got jumped, he was never really the same. He would only appear on the show 2 more times in the next 6 months, and he never seemed like himself. The fun, infectious energy he once had seemed to have gone away. And while Tony and Red Band still loved him every time he came up, Malcolm would make his last appearance and then just never return again. Now, no one really knows why Malcolm left the show forever, but many people on Reddit seem to think it had to do with having mental breakdowns and a loss of confidence. So while technically Malcolm was never banned officially from the show, he is someone who's never been seen again. But while Malcolm wasn't officially banned, this last comedian definitely was. And he did something so crazy that Tony literally feared for his life.
Put your hands together for the new head of security of my podcast, the Iron Patriot, everybody.
The Iron Patriot was technically the first ever regular in Kill Tony history, and his job was to stand next to the stage and crack jokes. This was literally the earliest days of the show, and everything they did was a complete experiment. But the longer that the Iron Patriot was on, the more that they started to find out about who he really was. And eventually, he slipped up in a way that he'd never recover from.
I really don't even care about this costume. It was just all for I really want to talk with Joe Rogan about philosophy, but...
Is that what you're using us for? Is that what this is? You're using Kill Tony as a launching pad?
This was my plan, that if I get this costume, maybe people will listen to me.
See, he wasn't just content with being a regular on Kill Tony. At the time, the podcast was only pulling in a few thousand views, and what he wanted was something more, whether that was his own podcast or even a bigger role on the show. And eventually, his resentment started to build. At first, it was aimed towards Red Band, because he thought he was doing a terrible job at marketing the show. I mean, early on, Kill Tony wasn't even on YouTube, and the Patriot thought that was a huge missed opportunity. But then, his resentment started to shift towards Tony.
Hey, I'm making a big sacrifice for this show because I've been missing out on a lot of work because I can't work on Mondays anymore. And sometimes there's 2-day calls and 3-day calls. But I know Tony appreciates it. I'm having a good time here. Haven't been doing as many jobs this year as I usually do.
It wouldn't take long before Tony started to get fed up with the Iron Patriot. Many of the jokes he used to do weren't getting laughs anymore, and the songs he'd sing were being shut down entirely.
You threw me off because I didn't get to do my song. I was planning to do my song this week, but
Right, so 4 more minutes of unbearable bullshit.
The relationship between Tony and the Iron Patriot was quickly falling apart, and it would only take a few more weeks for things to go completely sideways. First, it started with their appearance on Getting Dug with High. It was the first podcast that Tony had ever brought the Iron Patriot on, and it went terribly wrong. To this day, Tony still says it's the worst podcast he's ever done, but just a little while later, the two got into an argument that would lead to the Patriot quitting the show entirely. This was a decision that caught Tony completely off guard, and for the next few weeks, he'd replace the Patriot with other comedians wearing an Iron Patriot mask. At first, the Patriot thought he made the right move. Now he had more time to go do other gigs around town and make more money. But just a few months later, Kill Tony started to explode. After having just quit the show, the Patriot was watching the rise of it from his house, and each new episode felt like a stab in the back. In his mind, he should have still been on the show, becoming the celebrity that he always wanted to become. But in reality, he was disappearing into obscurity. The more that time went on, the angrier he got. And eventually, he started writing Tony angry letters. For years, they never responded to him, until one day, the Patriot did something that nobody's ever done before.
Awesome. 2 of our favorite guests. They've both been on the show. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What are you doing? Whoa, what the f is that? You gotta get him out of here. What's going on? No, you gotta leave, dude. No, you can't do that.
It was a move so crazy that Tony genuinely feared for his life, because while it might not look like a big deal, this was a dude they hadn't seen in years who had been manically messaging them and posting videos like this on his YouTube channel.
You f***ing assholes, Brian Redman and Tony Hinchcliffe! Induct the Iron Patriot in the Kill Tony Hall of Fame! You motherfuckers! Every day that goes by, I almost died doing that! You fuckers!
So after the Patriot was rushed off the stage, he was quickly banned from coming back forever. And in the entire history of Kill Tony, he is the only true regular to be banned for life. If you guys like this video, you should check out this one about regulars who sabotage their career, or this one about the full story of the Iron Patriot. I'll see you guys in the next one.